Alright, so since the last time I talked to you, I fixed up a bunch of these things. Some of them I probably won't like this give the walls a hash. That'll probably come out. Um, let's see. I think I already put the walls back on. I fixed up the map a little bit so that it doesn't do strange things. I tried to break off the model in utilities like the random number generator into a separate utilities class, but I wasn't able to do what I wanted to do with that. So I really want to get game model and map maker in different classes, but right now they're so dependent on each other that when I run the main game, I was able to fix this up for just, say, the model class, but for running the main game, there was an issue, right? So that made a bit of a problem, so I don't know what to do about that. So that's going to take some more time. And I did the thing that was very important, which was drawing the level first. And to make that work, I had to do a little bit with line of sight, but the line of sight that I actually did is not the kind of line of sight we need. Probably that's something I should do in the real in the videos. All I did was, create a space around the player, large enough space so that it erases his ghosts, right? Erases anything where he moves. It erases this. It redraws the map so that you can see it. Now, I guess I forgot I made this smaller so I could wander around, but you see you no longer have any of those really ugly sort of things going on as far as the map is concerned. So the map is choosing some different ways to send the paths so that you don't get too many strange things. You still have something a little strange here. This is something I could, if I wanted to, call an error. But it is also something I could, if I wanted to, call an opportunity, because this, large main hall thing seems like a very nice thing to have. So possibly I can do that. So this isn't really showing you that after I build the game, right, it gets a little bit faster. So I will go down to where I think I made the map, and I'm going to make the map with square, tile size of 2. Now it's going to take a lot longer because it has to go through some more loops. To fix the loops up, I'm going to have to eventually precompile a bunch of things with Python. The loops are really bad in Python if you don't compile things and declare variables and stuff like that. So that's the problem. So now you see I've got the double-sized tiles here, and I can move around, and it's fast. But that's because I'm doing a small area around here, a small window. I take this guy, look at all his neighbors, and I think I go 3 out. So if there was anything else in here, we'd basically be blind past 3 tiles. So that is another thing. You also see that I put these little hash marks in there, little number signs. Those are nice as far as having number signs is concerned, right? It's nice to have number signs running around. They are not very useful, right? I don't really like them. I like the white squares better. So eventually that's going to disappear. But I was thinking about making it look a little bit more like a regular old roguelike, and that makes it look a little bit more like a regular old roguelike. Okay. So what I'd like to do now is make a larger player or monster so that I can have something take up 2 spaces. And after I do that, I'd like to do something I call impulse movement, which is basically letting different things move in different impulses. That could be bad. That could be bad. I have to do some of this other stuff that I was talking about over here that wasn't working very well, like model and the game loop. I actually did try to play around with that a little bit, where this is going where the player and the monsters will update at some rate, let's say every 20th of a second or something like that, or a 10th of a second, move along, and it'll be part of their movement, and that way you can see faster things moving faster and stuff like that. One of the little things that's a little annoying about roguelikes is that monsters that move multiple spaces, you can't really tell that they're moving multiple spaces during that time, and they just sort of show up and disappear and flit around, right? Like a bat in DCCS or something like that. So hopefully that will fix that. But this is also nice for the multiple tiles, because then you have your dude moving one tile, two tiles. So you tell him to move two tiles, but he only goes one at a time. And so if two things are trying to get into the same tile, then you can have something happen. You can resolve that in some way. All right, so I want the dude to take up more space. I've already forgotten. Did I show you what happens? I think so. Okay, so I want the dude to take up more space. This size, where did I put the size? This size should be part of the map. It should do something with that. The player is going to need his own size. So we'll set his size to 2. Although I think the player doesn't have a size quality right now. So let's look at the dude. Okay, so he has no size, right? Oh, there is a self size right there. Get square, get occupied square, blah, 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 make immortal, set control. Okay, so we'll need to def set square, or set size self, return self.size. Okay, so, or actually, that should be get size. Set size should be self size equals size. Should be as banal about this as possible. Sets the number of squares. All right, so we've got him. So what we're probably going to have to do is we're going to have to do something with this move into thing. I guess the first thing to do is just to get this working, right? So let's see. Okay, so see, I'm using this square is open to get something. Well, we can't use that anymore, so we'll need to have a check availability self dot comma square. Okay, so square here is the square we want to move to. All right. So what we have to do is we have to check to see if there's anything else in any of those squares that he wants to move to, not including the dude. Okay, so in range size for row, in range size for column, in range size. Okay. Will this work? This will get me all of the squares that I need. I just need to do this correctly. So row is each level down. So starting at 0, right? And then it goes to the next column. All right. So next equals square. I think that'll just rename it. I'm a little concerned. Let's see. Okay. Out equals, I'm going to start with the assumption that it's true, and if we get one false, we're going with the assumption that we can move into it unless there's a condition where it's not. All right, so let's see. For row in range size, for column in range size, check equals square. If check, I'm going to say check equals square. I think that just gives me this. I think I'm going to be moving things around if I change check. I'm not sure. Check dot is, if not check dot is open, return. Then check if check get occupant is self. If not, check occupant is self. So if it's either not open or if it does not contain a piece of me, piece of the dude, then return false as soon as it figures that out. All right, and then check equals check dot get neighbor. So we have to look at this in a square, right? So we've gone down. Well, if we move down, then we start to have to move right. So right is 6, just like on your keypad. And so that will come around and do check again. So if this is going to work the way I hope it does, then I have to do check equals something here, and that something's going to be something up here. Check equals temp, let's say. Temp equals square. When we get to the end of the checks here, then we say temp equals temp.get neighbor 2, because that moves it down. Okay, and that should go through the entire range that we need for this dude, just to see if there's anything in there that we need to look for. So ability. Okay, so can enter is so if you cannot enter, then that's there. Square is open and not. Okay, and these things are not going to work very well in the future, so we're going to have to just want to see if this piece of code works. But this logic has got to go. So, and it's actually got to get more complicated for this thing. So we'll just have to look with that. So this thing has to be broken up into several parts. Okay, let's see if it breaks. It breaks right away. Okay, we need the new square. Again, I'm sorry, but it'll be a while before I get to fixing that up a little bit. Let's see, what can I do here? Process for moving into a new square. Okay. Checks to see if all squares that object will enter are open. Okay. Oops. Cheap line of sight algorithm. Searches the box of size 3 around the dude. Okay. Okay, see there, that's good. So what's happening is it's blocking the guy from moving. So come down here, can't move there, can move there, and can't move there. Okay, so it's actually working the way it's supposed to work. So we're pretty happy about that, right? So that part's doing its job. Okay, so next we need to set the viewer. Okay. I am going to start by just doing a giant dude. Okay. I'm going to have to switch this out eventually, but let's just create a giant dude first and see where the problem's going to be, right? So this is 2 times the size, or size equals 2 times size, or scale equals 2 times scale. Okay, so this is just going to double the size of the dude. That's not the way I want to do it. I need to make that procedural somehow. But we'll make him a giant dude up here when we create him. And if I am unfortunately right, this will interleave the we'll draw tiles on top of the dude, which means I'm going to have to change how that's done. Create a map for a level. So we're going to have to put things there. Returns the map, the current map. So yes, see there, the other guys are on top of him, but I've got a giant @ sign. So let's see. That means returns the current map. Current map. The map the player is currently on. All right. Okay, don't care about that. We need to look at our, is this going to be in the map or the viewer? It's probably in the view map. All right, so the map actually has an occupants list. Out equals self board view. Okay, so actually it's here for dude in self occupants. Okay, let's go to self board to draw object. No. If square dot get occupant occupants append, screw that, occupants dot append square dot get occupants. For occupant, well, let's see, occupants equals list set list occupants. Okay, so this turns this into a list. This turns the list into a set, which collapses every multiple entry. So if you have two of the same goblin in there, then it just keeps that one goblin, right? And then turns it back into a list, so I can do listy things with it. And then there should be a none in there. But I guess if none in occupants, it's probably better just to be safe. There should always be a none in there. There should be something that's not full. But, you know, that one time in 20,000 will show up every 20,000 plays, right? Let's see. Actually, that one time in 20,000 will show up every 10th play or something like that. Let's see. For dude in occupants, for dude in occupants, picture equals dude dot view square scale. Square equals dude dot get square. That will be his upper left hand corner. So this will be drawn from the upper left hand corner. Scale's the same. We want to send it a picture, a position. Okay, hopefully this will do it. I should have a position here, not two pictures. draws within the line of sight of the dude. Okay, that did not work. Okay, so I need to do something about the top bit, but you can see I have my giant @ sign walking around. And if I try to go straight down, in this case, it doesn't work. So this is sort of the first part. I might have two more parts to this, but I've got the major part working around. I've got to do some other things to fix that up. Right, so let's see. Scale dude images, dude/item images to fit size. Okay, there was something about those fix internal calls. I'm not sure what that was. Okay. Let's see. Thought that just a second ago I had another thing I wanted to do. Oh well, I'll figure it out later. So basically they take up more space. That's fine. And so now I have to do the hard part, which is sort of the impulse movement. I've got two parts to that I want to do. One is, right now, I want to give the dude a speed, right? And the dude will move some percentage of the distance between the two bits based on that speed. So I want the game to run sort of real time between the different moves, right? So I want, whereas, when the guy's moving right here, he's just instantaneously moving. I want that to take, let's say, 1/5 of a second, right? So I want that to take 1/5 of a second to go from one square to another square, like this. I also, after that, want, when you have a guy that's this size, that's double size, I want him to move 2 squares at a time. So when you say move this way, it's going to move 2 squares. Then maybe if you push shift, you can sneak and do 1 square at a time. But otherwise, you move 2 squares at a time, is what I'd sort of like. Also, at some point, I need to do the scaling on the dungeon. That's probably something that should be more important. I don't like the drawing the way it is, right? So we'll come down here to the giant dude. What a giant dude needs, obviously, is a giant circle, right? So we'll give the dude a giant circle. Dude, or out, PG draw, Pygame draws circles, and we say out, and we need a color, GC white. And we need a size, and a position, right? So we need sort of the center. So the center is going to be center is going to equal scale before we scale the scale up. So we'll do the center, and we want a radius, which is radius, and that should be scale. A radius equals scale. And since that's going to be white, the first thing I'll do is I'll just to see if it works, we'll turn the asterisk black. Now, since one thing I would like to do is I would like to turn this into turn the circle into a damage bar. There I go, randomly capitalizing again. Okay, so that does more or less what I want it to do. You see it's now a big giant 0, or it's a big giant thing like that. Let's go ahead and fix that up just a little bit, because that's not really what I want it to look like. But I can make the @ sign a little bit smaller. And I can do what I want to do with this. So let's white, black, radius -2, -2, -4. Actually, that might be enough that the black @ sign will be fine. So we need the size to drop down. -4 plus 2, 2. Thinking about that, that should be 4, 4. Let's see how bad this is. This is not really good because, you know, it's going to take a long time. So that's definitely one thing I want to do. Move viewers to classes. And I want to move viewers to classes in order to resize them. Let's see. Okay, so that needs to be a little bit thicker. That guy can go towards the center a little bit more. To upload center. Okay, so going down is fine. The push is too much. Let's see if I have it, if that's okay. It sends a picture of the board. Draw an object on the board. Oops. Initializes a board that shows the viewing board for a given level. So that was not enough. Playing around with this too much is probably not the world's greatest thing. Oh. And I think my wife is getting impatient, and possibly so are you. Alright, and so that's pretty close to working. Again, that needs to be larger. Let's see. Okay. Alright. Maybe a little right and a little up. Although that part I'm going to have to figure out more stuff about. How do I... Also have one more thing to worry about. Can I do the self line of sight? Oh, I can't do the line of sight with the dude, right? Because he doesn't know the dude. Okay. That's going to require more thinking. I might have to tell the map who the dude is. Still don't like that, but it'll have to do. It'll have to do for now. Figure out how to center that @ sign perfectly at some point. I can ask the so I can actually ask the screen print. The screen print will, where is it? The screen print down here. I can send this, I think, a none, and if I send it a none, it'll send me a @ sign, right? And then it'll tell me what the size is. The size of the @ sign is, and then we can center on the center of the @ sign, which is something we need to do if we're going to have all the different things use the same code to create the viewers, which is what we want to do in the long run. So let's see. Well, I think that's good enough for now. We will take up the other 2 bits of this. The first part being we want to do the impulse movement, which will change the model. It won't change the viewer, and but might change the viewer at some spot. But what it'll do is it'll sort of make the game run until everything happens, so we can see something flitting around, like I said, like the bats and things like that. And then we can do the multiple space movement, and that'll get us through 10. So this looks like we've got at least 3 parts to it. I mean, obviously I could wander by and do the next part in 15 minutes. If that happens, then everything will be fine, but that's probably not going to happen. Alright, bye now.